Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Today you are finally getting the long-awaited, famous John Knox Ranch braided bread recipe. Now normally I would make it in a big mixer, but I've converted the recipe so that you can do it with just a spoon and a bowl. But if you have a KitchenAid home mixer that has a dough arm, you are welcome to use that, but you want to use not the flat beater, but the dough arm. Okay, so, and any way you mix it, you're going to mix it up the same way. Okay, so the way that we do this is first we mix some of the dry ingredients with our hot water. And instead of heating milk for this recipe, I use all hot water and dry milk. But you can do a conversion if you'd rather heat regular milk. So I've got 2.5 cups of hot water, and I'm going to add to that half a cup of dry milk, a tablespoon of salt, 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of sugar. Yeah, come on. And 2 tablespoons of yeast, and my 1/4 cup of oil. Now, you're going to kind of mix this up until it gets, we want that yeast to dissolve, and we want it to start reacting with the sugar. Sugar is what makes yeast, it feeds the yeast, and it's what makes your bread rise. So we want that to start kind of rising. And I'm going to add 1 cup of my flour so that I can make this a little bit more homogeneous. So I'm just going to mix it around for a minute. Try to get all of the big lumps. I don't have to get all the lumps of flour out, but I want my yeast to be dissolving. Now you do want to be sure that you get your water hot enough, but not too hot, because if you get it too hot, then it will it'll kill your yeast. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Those lumps are flour, and we'll work those out as we add the rest of it. So in total, I'm adding 4.5 cups of flour. And then I'm just going to mix it with my wooden spoon, and it's going to make a nice soft dough. Now, I'm going to keep stirring this. Do you see how it's kind of sticking to the sides? I'm going to keep stirring this until it's starting to pull off the sides in kind of long strings. You see how that's starting to do that? You want it to be really smooth. Okay. Now, it's a really soft dough, but it's gonna thicken up here in a little bit. That's good, Quinny. Okay, so I've got my nice soft dough, and I'm going to let it rise. And whenever you let bread dough rise, you want to do one of 2 things. Either cover it with plastic, but you want to make sure that the top of your bread isn't going to run into the top of your plastic, or you can cover it with a warm, wet dish towel. So I'm going to use plastic. Queen, will you hand me one of those rolls of plastic? Perfect. So I'm going to cover this with plastic, and then we're going to leave it for its first rising. And we'll check back in just a minute, and I'll tell you how long I let it rise. Okay, so my dough is ready, and you can see it's been rising quite enthusiastically. So I'm just going to uncover it. And then for this step, you're going to need to knead it on a floured board. So I'm going to sprinkle out some flour here. It's a sticky dough, so you're going to want, you're not really trying to work a bunch more flour into it, but you're going to need more flour just in order to make it functional, make it doable. Okay, so I'm dumping it out. Quite sticky dough. Makes a tender loaf. Okay, I'm going to sprinkle some more flour on the top here. Just knead it a little bit. The kneading is to create more elasticity. It's not about putting air into your loaf. It's about creating more elasticity, activating that gluten so you have a really tender, good textured loaf of bread. Now I'm looking at this amount of dough, and I think I'm just gonna make one loaf out of this. I don't think I'm gonna make two. You can make two if you want to, and you can use bread pans if you want to, you know, just like loaf pans. But I'm gonna show you how to do the braided loaf because that's what we do at John Knox. Because when you're making 24 loaves, you really can't do it all in loaf pans. So I'm gonna kind of pat my dough out into a long rectangle, and then I'm gonna cut it into 3 strips. I'm gonna kind of pull these out just a little bit, stretch them. Get a pan. I'm going to use just a sheet pan, a baking pan for this. Pan it. We're going to let this rise again. Okay, so when I braid for bread, I start kind of in the middle of the loaf. So over to the middle, over to the middle, over to the middle, over to the middle. I'm going to pinch the ends, okay? Now, when you get to here, you have to do it backwards. So you want to look and see which one is on top, okay? Whichever one is on top, you're going to take the middle out. Middle out, middle out, middle out, middle out. And then you're going to pinch those ends. So you've got a nice, pretty braided bread loaf. And I'm just going to lay that out long ways on this cookie sheet. And you can see you could fit 2 on here if you did smaller loaves, if you cut it in half and made it twice. But what I'm going to do now is just leave that. We let it rise for 30 minutes the first time. And so I anticipate we'll let it rise for another 20 or maybe even 30 again. But I'll let you know that when I get back. But we want it to be kind of double in size, and then we're going to put it in the oven. So preheat your oven to 400, and I'm actually going to put that loaf on top of the oven to rise because it'll have a nice warm, nice heat rising underneath it to help it proof. So see you in a few minutes. Okay, that was about a 20-minute rise, and as you can see, it got big. So this could easily make 2 loaves if you would rather do it that way. I'm going to stick it in the oven on 400 degrees, and it should bake about half an hour. So we'll check back in then. All right, take a look at this. It took about 25 minutes to bake, and it is ready to go. You know, I think over the years I have probably taught, I don't know, hundreds of people how to make this bread. Everybody from Emily Frost and Carolina Trevino and Emily Owen and Lisa Lawrence and so many I can't even think of them all. Mari Mendenhall, of course Lita and Sarai from last summer. But this is actually Large Rice told me that after she was a cook one year that she still makes this bread all the time as a pastor. So that's a pretty cool thing to know how to make bread. So let's slice it open and see how it looks.
Oh man, what's that smell?
The baby smells bread.
Oh man, Mom.
There's Quinn and her husband Brantley, and this is my granddaughter Claire. And you know Andy. Here you go, everybody. Grab a piece of bread. You want some butter? Brantley, you just went straight for the bread. Forget the butter.
Yeah, the bread doesn't need it. Yeah.
That's my husband Rob, the cameraman.
Sorry about that,
He's
folks.
throwing things at people.
I was trying to get everybody in the frame.
You want a piece of bread, honey?
Andy, turn around. Well, yes, I do, but I'll turn this off before I come get it.
This is good stuff. Yeah, I should have made 2 loaves out of this, but, you know, who's going to complain about dry
Actually,
bread?
let's come get a close-up of that delicious bread. Will you cut me a piece with some butter on it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, it's Henry Owen.
Sure enough.
Hey, Henry.
Hey Beth, what's going on?
Oh, I'm just making bread. You must have smelled it all the way from John Knox.
Bread? What kind of bread?
The famous John Knox Ranch Braided Bread.
Oh man, you mean the bread that we have
Every day.
at the summer camp?
Yep.
That dreams about? It tastes like a warm hug?
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Oh, I want some.
Well, we'll take some over to you and Emily and the boys later.
Sounds good. Well, it smells great from here and I look forward to tasting it.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, go home and make some bread. Enjoy.